A neon glow bathed the room, its light flickering as if unsure whether to stay on or plunge the bar into darkness. Aaron slouched on the stool, nursing his whiskey. The jukebox in the corner crackled to life, playing a tune he didn't recognize but felt he should. It was a voice warm and haunting, singing about a smile that could light up the world. Smile, the song crooned. Even if it's borrowed? Even if it's fake? A smile can change everything. The voice pulled at something deep in Aaron's chest. He hadn't smiled in months. Not since Sarah left with a curt note and half the furniture. He glanced at the bartender, an older man with sunken eyes and a permanent scowl. But even he seemed softened by the melody. "Who's singing this?" Aaron asked. The bartender shrugged. "Never heard it before. Jukebox just started playing it on its own." Aaron frowned. He looked at the jukebox, its lights swirling hypnotically. He hadn't seen anyone go near it. But the song continued, and he couldn't tear his gaze away. "Smile," it sang again. "And maybe time will rewind." The words sent a shiver through him. He downed his drink and slid a crumpled bill across the counter. Outside, the air was heavy with summer heat. The town was eerily quiet, its streets empty as if the world had forgotten about this little corner of existence. Aaron pulled his jacket tighter and began the long walk home. As he passed the old hardware store, the song began to echo from somewhere nearby. He stopped, scanning the empty street. The sound wasn't coming from any speaker he could see. It was just there, in the air. "Smile," the voice urged. Softer now, almost pleading. "And the past will open its door." Aaron's chest tightened. The memories flooded back. Sarah's laughter, her smile as she danced barefoot in their tiny living room. He tried to shake it off, but the song wouldn't let him. It followed him, growing louder, closer, until he couldn't tell if it was in his head or real. He stumbled into his small, cluttered apartment, slamming the door behind him. The song faded as soon as he stepped inside, leaving a deafening silence. He collapsed onto the couch, running a hand through his hair. That's when he noticed it. The photo on the mantel, one he'd taken down weeks ago in a fit of anger. It was back, sitting exactly where it used to be. He approached it cautiously. It was a picture of him and Sarah at the county fair, both of them beaming. Her smile was radiant, infectious. He barely recognized himself in the photo. He touched the frame, and for a split second, he thought he felt warmth. "Smile," the voice whispered again, so faint it could have been the wind. "And you'll see her again." Aaron shook his head, backing away. "This isn't real," he muttered. But the room began to change. The walls shimmered. The air grew thick. And suddenly, he was no longer in his apartment. He was at the fairgrounds. The sky a twilight purple. The sounds of laughter and carnival music surrounded him. And there she was, Sarah. She stood by the Ferris wheel, her sundress swaying in the breeze. That same smile on her face. She looked at him as if no time had passed, as if she'd been waiting for him all along. Aaron's knees nearly buckled. "Sarah," he whispered. Her smile faltered, just for a moment. "You're almost too late," she said, her voice echoing strangely. I don't understand," Aaron stammered. "You stopped smiling," she said, taking a step toward him. "And the world began to forget you. To forget us." He reached out for her, but his hand passed through her like mist. Panic surged through him. "How do I fix this?" Quote. Her gaze softened, and she tilted her head toward the Ferris wheel. "Smile," she said. "Just once. And mean it?" The wheel's lights flickered, casting the fair in a kaleidoscope of colors. The song returned, louder than ever, wrapping around him like a cocoon. He closed his eyes, forcing himself to remember every moment he'd ever smiled with her. Every joke, every kiss, every night they'd stayed up talking about nothing and everything. And then, he smiled. When he opened his eyes, the fair was gone. The photo was back on the mantel. But it was different now. He wasn't in it. Only Sarah remained, smiling that same radiant smile. The jukebox in the corner of the bar crackled one last time before going silent forever.